Welcome to a journey through the ideas that have shaped our world. Political ideologies, sets of beliefs about how society should work, have sparked revolutions, fueled wars, and built modern nations. Today we'll explore three giants: communism, fascism, and liberalism, often tied to capitalism. We'll trace their origins, see them in action through history, examine their outcomes, and uncover how they still echo in our politics today. Let's begin. First, communism equity. It's an ideology dreaming of a world without classes, where wealth and resources belong to everyone. Born in the 19th century, Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels wrote the Communist Manifesto in 1848, arguing that capitalism exploits workers. Their solution: overthrow it with a revolution, creating a society where people contribute what they can and take what they need. No rich, no poor, just equality. Let's look at an example. The Russian Revolution of 1917. Workers and peasants, led by Vladimir Lenin, toppled the Tsar and established the Soviet Union. Factories and farms became state-owned. Later, Stalin pushed industrialization, but at a brutal cost. Millions died in famines and purges. Another example, Mao Zedong's China. In 1949, he launched a communist state, aiming to modernize through the Great Leap Forward. It promised plenty but delivered famine. Tens of millions starved. What were the outcomes? Communism often delivered rapid change, industrial growth, education for the masses, but it came with authoritarian rule. Freedom shrank as the state grew. Economies stagnated under rigid planning. The Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, a symbol of communism's limits. Yet China adapted, mixing communism with markets, becoming a global power. Today, communism shapes politics through its legacy. In Cuba and Vietnam, it lingers with state control. Globally, it inspires calls for wealth taxes and workers' rights. Think of debates over inequality in the US or Europe. Its promise of fairness still resonates, even if its practice faltered. Next, fascism, an ideology of iron will and national pride. It's authoritarian, rejecting democracy for a strong leader who unites the nation, often through force. Emerging after World War I, fascism glorified order over chaos. Benito Mussolini defined it in Italy, promising to revive Roman greatness. An example: Italy in the 1920s. Mussolini's black shirts crushed dissent, centralized power, and built roads and armies. It was orderly, but free speech vanished. A darker example, Nazi Germany. Adolf Hitler took fascism to extremes, blending it with racism. By 1939, he'd launched World War II, aiming for a pure empire. The Holocaust, 6 million Jews and others murdered, was its horrific outcome. What happened? Fascism delivered unity and infrastructure. Italy's trains ran on time, Germany's economy boomed briefly, but at a devastating cost. War and genocide stained its record. It collapsed in 1945 with the Allies' victory, discredited but not erased. Now, fascism's echoes are subtle but real. Far-right parties in Europe, like France's National Rally or Hungary's Fidesz, push nationalism and strong borders. In the US, some see its shadow in populist rhetoric about making America great again. It warns us, unity can become tyranny if unchecked. Finally, liberalism, often tied to capitalism. It's about individual freedom, rights to speak, vote, and trade in free markets. Born in the Enlightenment, thinkers like John Locke saw government as a protector of liberty, not a ruler over it. Capitalism, its economic arm, bets on competition to drive progress. An example, the American Revolution, 1776. Colonists fought for self-rule and property rights, crafting a constitution that's still a liberal cornerstone. Fast forward to the Industrial Revolution. Britain's factories boomed under capitalism, creating wealth but also slums. In the 20th century, Franklin Roosevelt's New Deal added welfare to liberalism, softening capitalism's edges. Outcomes? Liberalism built democracies and innovation, think Silicon Valley or global trade. Life expectancy rose, literacy soared. But it's uneven. Capitalism lifts many but leaves others behind. The 2008 financial crash showed its risks. Unchecked markets can fail. Today, liberalism dominates the West. Free elections, human rights, and trade deals, like the EU or NAFTA, carry its DNA. Yet it faces pushback. Protests over inequality, like Occupy Wall Street, question capitalism's fairness. In China and Russia, authoritarianism challenges its global spread. Liberalism promises freedom, but delivering it evenly remains a battle. So, where does this leave us? Communism's dream of equality lives in social justice movements. Fascism's call for strength haunts nationalist surges. Liberalism's freedom drives democracies but wrestles with its flaws. These ideologies aren't just history, they're in our headlines, our debates, our votes. They've shaped skyscrapers and battlefields, lifted millions and crushed others. As we face climate crises, tech revolutions, and global tensions, their lessons guide us or warn us. The story of ideologies isn't over, it's ours to write next.